This is the chart of the average global temperature since 1880. It's an estimation. There's no way you can precisely get the average global temperature, but going by the records since that time, or our calculations today of that time, this is what we come up with. Some people give out about the line being too straight and it's not accurate, like this dude here. He says, this scale doesn't make sense for these data. Instead, it serves to flatten the line and convey the idea that average annual global temperatures really haven't changed in the last 135 years. Well, I'm sorry, because that's the graph. That's the correct graph. And the line is flat because temperatures really haven't gone up that much in 135 years. He says this is an accurate graph, breaking the rule of what he spends most of the article promoting, that the y-axis should display the baseline. Earlier in the article, he gives this example of a bad graph. And that's exactly what he's doing with this graph, making it look worse than it really is. This graph only goes from 55 to 60. This one has a range of 110 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's like 22 times higher and 22 times longer than this graph. So if you were to draw his graph fully, it wouldn't even fit in the screen. It would be like 22 of those graphs I have on my screen here be outside the room, be down to the floor, and by the time you do that, it would look like a straight line as well. Say you were doing a survey from Monday to Friday, asking 5 random people their age and plotting it on a chart. Monday, you ask 5 people, they give you their ages. This is the average age. Likewise for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So you have these numbers. And if you plot these in a graph, you could do it like this, or you could do it like this. And in my opinion, this is the better one because you can see the baseline and with the y-axis going just above the maximum in point into building the graph, the number 98. Likewise, this graph, with all the possible values that went into building that graph on the graph, is better than this graph. And then there's this article of the Washington Post. And there's no reason to show temperatures ranging from -10 to 110, of course. Temperature extremes go outside of those boundaries too. It's just obfuscation. He's right. It should be even more flat than it is. He's saying the range doesn't even go far enough, which is correct because the hottest temperature ever recorded, I think, is like 134 degrees in Death Valley. And it's probably that same, it's down that far again in Antarctica. So the range there does go from 110 to whatever, -10. So the line should be even more flat. It should look like this. Washington Post article then goes on to show this graph, a correct national debt graph, and then this one, taking the piss out of this graph, but he's actually taking the piss out of himself. And he does this as well with the Dow Jones. So like, what's all this? All this, the Dow Jones has gone up to 20,000. So this is just ridiculous. I mean, all this space is totally unnecessary. Maybe in 150 years, it will go up to 800,000. And then yes, this would be a totally perfectly legitimate graph to use. But at the moment, it doesn't go over 20,000. So this is all a stupid waste of space. In my next video, I'm going to have a closer look at climate anomalies, what they are exactly. And I think that's going to be the next video.